Namo Guru Be Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Be Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Be Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Kande laje gwenje doga raga shoza bonde chonze cheje jabo gwenje losa seda jeba nede sheso denje nanga sende bende cheze lama jebe zomga Talon debe sena shinjo Tenpa jeje geja shuso Sheje chungun jawe Geza nawe genjo leche Chabe beje lamen zebe Tongde tenbe dende lacha Yewo cheyo nanzo mendo Chishin dobe nangsen deja Weisha yedu chujin jazo Sena shinjo chela chiba Kanshi tomen dune saba Lunga yiso migi jiji Kebaran domba sumji menu Ningden juban dabu soso Ningmen dede mande lobla Cheje bangbe den Gombo cheje lajen zeba Daja samban tabe ira Chizu laman damba kenam Shugu kala tenzin jinti Chida zamben deje sima Sabje cheje chaba abdu Namda vese yingle shingba Shonju gola chado ming Tame nangu sugu rabda Sidi bando minu demba Dazo chini sa Dowa Gwinla Kangben Da Kebra Jizu Losan Daba Denbe Ningbo Rendo Seje Sho Mime Zebe Dejen Jenre Time Kimbe Wangbo Jambe Yang Tibo Mali Jomze San Kanjen Kebe Zojen Zonga Ba Losan Ta Sowan de mime zebe de jen jenre ze time Devo mali jomze sanve da kanjen kebe zogen zong Losan tabe shala sowan de mime zebe de Wangbo jambe yang devo mali zhomze san Kanjen kien zogen zonga ba lo san tabe Banden Zawe Lama Rinpoche Daso Jiwuru Benden Denjo Gaden Chenpe Gwane Jesu Gusun Toje Wedu Zedo Banden Zawe Lama Rinpoche Daso Ningara Benden Denjo La Gaden Chenpe Gwane Shodan Tumong Wedu Zendo Banden Zawe Lama Rinpo Daso Ningara Benden Denjo La Gaden Chenpe Shangju Ningbe Ba Denpa Jo Masan Jume Shira Paru Maje Manga Namge Ngowo Sozo Rari Yeshe Juyu Tuzon Gebe Chanze Lo Deon Ta Gade Baro Samga Bodeye Soha Deon Ta Gade Baro Bodeye Soha Deon Ta Gade Baro Sam Zoe Gere Tonda Jajo Chewa Da Mede Nebe Jendan De Temba Dorjee Bezon Sojo Ne Yo So Shimbe Jo Toje Jona La Janjo Bando Lane Jabzo Je Dage Chujurun Jebe Sona Ola Benje Sanje Ndo Lore Sho Shodan Zoje Jona La Janjo Bando Lane Jabzo Je Dage Chujurun Sona La Janjo Bando Lane Jabzo Je Dage Chujurun Jebe Sanje Ndo Lore Sho
Sebje Tamje to Toshala no Yang Zobe Sanje Kumar Boje Nega Tabaje Tishi the Tabesha Zenya Kunu Shoshi Juma Suji Them December years.
Let me remind every one of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it Bodhisattva motivation or the altruistic motivation seeking complete enlightenment for the benefit of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta, altruistic motivation, we should participate in this Bodhisattva discourse.
Ali Dangwadan di Karza Liu Gubak di Hira Liu di Zawa di Long di Maloya is the Ishido Nima Chidi Kora Juju Kora Chi Mother Sunday de Ran Chi Hida 主做农药嘛，早可能农药做的，农的么老呀一些。
As I mentioned this to you before, that I have received teaching on this Bodhisattva guide, Bodhisattva chart avatar, by the Bodhisattva Mahasattva Shantideva a couple of times from His Holiness the Dalai Lama, and I received his lineage oral blessing and transmission of the text. Of course, I did not receive blessing or transmission of the commentary on the guide that I'm using, so I cannot give you anything with their oral transmission. So before we start off with chapter 9 on the perfection of wisdom or wisdom gone beyond, let me give you the lineage oral blessing transmission of the chapter on wisdom.
Yeah, that is the Visha don't do some tea, no, Dunga. Tasha, the Visha, Gonzo, don't do the Devanians and the Tontam Loy. Lord, good in Baja, Delaware, then don't answer people. Diligent people, now you're Jen,你看年的被编辑不同的嘛些人就点把也我东西，杨大一到些节就嘛到不面边的人年说报道就点做，诉说我说你讲呢找吧找吧别迎接这些面的。没见他说了，张所朝百姓的人决定小别同的人公别国的地，他给什么你没工作的样给现在，你说工作也没得，这点老的天也懂，现在不没掌握的多些的呢。这现在就是，军队就来说呢，现在我要来先开的心情就要这样，现在这，其实那错就把这些就忙就是军人上些日现在那心情，对吧？有嘛也就没结婚没岁数了，是没现在就没。就没啥子的吧，老说那当年的把我就我说那了呢，就没事呢，什么没那时候现在说我也就嘛这样，那时候你，这是可能那么可能也可能呀，那个有，可都是两个的，或者我工作的到那上去讲那个或者就。上学这别记着，这一些啥，上学这别记着，这记着，上学这别记着。见那么久呢，马些呢，就忙多把人们这见呢，就那些那么工作有的，我们说我看这个渴望。原本的就嘛各个月把就是控制就嘛你这个面脑的这个是，肯定定的些有这些有啊那把我的那生意，控制生意就嘛呢，这个东就点些那公布讲，生意东有些说日子说呢，让现在没去的。现在慢慢让我养大小些没些那慢慢小下面的工些们就谢谢我你了现在对我有嘛也得些个就现在你对没把样子我也没了我不得大概当你些吧没慢慢小些多些西北些的有些那那小年没些，看个些的这个看这个叫他们那小没些看小个， 小王没小王呢没小王，莫上不莫上不莫经把西的那倔强的没多可点事因为那些这不是就是些鸟当着我的真些手都行。今夜他当的把那同事让你让在那出外面就把碰上同明面一同碰同明面也就面写的东对是吧？的那个吧下面的那东面就这我的把多把多工多少也什么的就嘛些没。西米巴扬没在那古那些在地下面，西米些弄，是在金米嘛的面样，大小天也大是一，大是开了的，可往我真正啊，在天天先都看着就。我们我的店边上，现在店旁边有现在人就是全节身份证照面把这个也都照一，看着身份证送着我，在的同学底下在这那样身上都大佬有的是，你们都现在你们多久的，考试就没分别了天些年家上进就。这些把那些家老女莫把啥嘛把天天东话天天，东也怕啥你们兄弟东也怕啥空边那个我怕啥帮着心，这样没就空边那点心里头，帮我去看些没多些，当时我不没把我的这我没点着我老一点那我现在呢。看着去，我到我没到，老远的那没那把的在那把些没把到地上的，一些都是不我把上些现在让我用光我的些的这种么能叫给个这个过日子，本来那个定的那个小农这个那个的就是那天天有人老养啊的。多了说吧，谢谢这个上学这个这对吧？这个是等我这个要上学这个两个，别讲头脑当前在是不把那个学习别现在这个对吧？就是看就是书包，两个的中国你的学习说工作那个天你的我这个天就用的天这个弄的。别弄的别上学了，现在这个这把心，这个这把心，要把同学追一些，同学他去啥看些弄的那么点没有上学没有，现在最近没着也有弄的现在找看你个懒的着，你个懒的我你个懒的着。他不觉了我的嘛，这个健康可能那个的一些白天那个这些了有种心也有别的那的这些说就不对吧？天气这些现在现在弄的么就把那么当弄线那样让现在到这些这他说现在。电视给人家那给人家说到搞完的10年没到这那这两个人对吧？我搞完的你们我帮别个做那些他妈都提出，你们没得了嘞就对吧？东啊也这些年里面7、8年没去，你把年轻那现在你们见面呀，我们现在对吧？现在没有超越年纪是我也超越的啥的。美国当时那个结果也没什么关系了，那个那把就东西当那个这个什么搞不来，因为就这些没有年纪听到东西搞不着，我到时了就这个开这个上街，送的那提前批起写下个多到中面多到中的。面那几个的嘛多几个呢，他们这中上这就那多种这个当时那这个说不起嘛， Maka Wusung Shenpo Lo Sobi Sobi Dingbo Mao Jirbo Teni Cheche Mao Dobi Sungsha Mimba Sui Xi Mbe Mbe Dungi Chen Tong Shadang Ji Shadang Ji Da Lie Zhuwa Khoro Wa Ne Bar Shu Jirbo Deni Ni Tong Ni Jibo Yite Da Tong Be Yi Shuo Suji Pani Te Ma Yin Te Na Te Zu Be Za Wa Tong Ba Yin De Gu Bar Cha Nyu Mu Xie Ji Ji Ba Yi Mo Bi Yin Bo Tong Ba Nyu De Tam Ji Jin De Be Te Ni Xie Da Gu Mi Xie Mu Kong Du Nge Jie Xie Ba Te La Ba Cha Wa Jie Jie Na Tong Ni Yu Nge Xie Ji Ba Te La Ji Ba Xie Da Jie Ke De Da Gung Ka Ye Na Ni Xie Yang Rong Da Jie Jie Na Da Ni Ka Ye Ba Ye Mi Jiban Jiwa Sushi Yin Swadang Chase Dava Ye Da Ni Rupa Chama Ye Nami Pe Ge Ma Ye Shiza Dana Na Jami Da Ni Sha Da Da Ngu Me De Lo Je Da Ja Da Ma Yin Zhu Na Ri Xia Da Mi能热人那大面的大里面，七十几年今晚也因为下大巴巴大面的被吹到龙阳，大巴巴也不管大面能滚的，能一周家大嘛也开的这也是大了。他们这边在那这就新下面这人那个康美西吧，西这些开的个新美新。新个西吧，对吧？就在那新下年那吧，没把那西吧没接的，第一届呢是我第一届那个所以那在那个台湾我接的没开的这没是这没。开这这没一些呢，电呢，对西吧没这没战机上现在看见不？对是我这吧现在。今天跑到北京的大北洋大一样大面没洋大你们的洋大我你们的这点人都对的，门把破面怕呀面，天天这样的当天别个让我媳妇在那动，看见他们出现的天也同那么的大面开的。出现的年那这那的那我们这给的出现的，天上个上是照西你这那的那这公修的我这我就是申报申没的这我这就是控制。当你从看这个市场，现在老在这这月的行业是没把要大面的是没你是碰不上。我的什么都没吃，西南面西边去把它西的大了就是没弄，身边都是，这在西哇，南卡大的西哇就是开这个大里面呢，连着我人们，连些年认为西边那水也连上就是些那小娃子，些他的都。这咱是吧？没吧样，没样。预备一个老准备有人的，现在这头没嘛样呢？这都没样。就让的让这不当这些同行的那个什么也就是让的那说，这我要这么说，这把是这把是就是的他妈我把也是。大年大面的那没别事，我的几声大爷那这些那样我大面那本那学习多不多不，山西现在干别我这些那不就也在那我大样的，现在是不是也嘛那是那人这个啥现在这不懂得开了，莫别大把我考研把我首先没这水一点的我就莫。另外，鸟我写到的这个么吧，都没啥个东西，女人我今年到的我别我就天天讲到， 没见到大美国别说那绿那更把我心把面拉得给把绿毛衣。到等啊，叫叫绿嘛的陈当啊，长当蹦蹦绿嘛，这不罗老帮绿嘛的新工厂帮绿嘛，能这东西挺没了。我当完这帮啊绿嘛呢，这个绿那么看见人开的绿的，他们这老少人也呢。你就能想能想到你就没有第二年的我看你开的当你过你溜，老说那现在你，老说的心里话的你见你绿色就是现在能到里面，虽然老说旅游老说那前面我真是一万年听到里面老说。蒙巴人流浪就是有时个别在外界都有老呢，老有心提些些接触提些建筑提些，люди基本大人闹啊提些谢谢老说老提些老说老提有提些提驴呢。这些什么说是说一些这老把我看小人不就这样这些说一些，这些人给啥些啥样的些的女的说是有，说要话下些当这些人看音乐的那个也没得没得你说了我说的是。考在这里面，我这这个方面看东西，天也同的，一同也那些的，绕过来没呢。在那两个东说了，东说了，什么说这个面就到的别设计你是年轻人。这天牛嘛也那看些娘牛大没，但也没这个说话现在你东西，上过你东西也啥个把我随便，天了先个怎么先那穿越这样的开店给见把那么开店给见这边那东西这不外面那。做到我心你西边小公主们呢，第你不能见的公的能到心里生活也上天呢，就是把一些给这个给这多把钱呢，这个公主车我就是把没呢也今天的看新闻看怎么车吧。对这了，就没天天干没娘把人嘛，小把老这没就，这没就忙这把了，这把没下面把了我这把是小我些的这把，这把他的下面把给的东南单把些南西轮把了呢。这把的我也做帮我心里的，我那些的那么些心的也是把也没那说讲的说，年的接同的系同的音，看看了的，不然就看在错不干没劲，错完也把把那个这都。是不是多门去了？同样的人吧呀，没那么就这的你这人生的联系去，说的有同嘛呀，我到现在这边讲话，这样不是就用嘛，上个当年用没了的，现在给也讲用嘛呀，就是没错忘个呀，有没得个真的错忘的。这他没说的了，第几天的吧？小一年安那拉呢，拉玛没，安那拉玛呢。说说拉没，说说拉没，怕那没，那么那样，是没的样的呢。 康熙里面现在面这面老上俺们的，但是中山面的是不是让些两岸的西藏，两岸的西藏，就是两岸的没的两岸的不就抗议的当然那的，天现的高呢，可得乡里同州西游年我的。我的西藏来的西藏来的州，西藏来西州，西藏有了登记也记得平均按个有你讲没问题，开的没怕，碰见可能中华人碰没把你怕没把天津没把你牛骨老三万的三万的几多些西藏来的西巴也对把。基本上牛骨来什么西巴也，三万也就到这那康熙现在的到完了西巴也没看得到。日线决定我上街，有人当就同意，别没动不说也为结巴因举些康个，现在我也来说这个这是这不。这年这的，我就年来说就那这小说看这没，就能现那得到没名字样，这名字那样这些，我家的啥说对嘛的没大约没来没。我们家也当没上月，天天昂州呢，昂州我就看没有，没现在当没俺那高兴些。308也是写不样，308就这些啥，这些小提琴的帮忙就，那你听到啥了说，昂州多大没那么西巴现在来阶段到他们的多来。这个康熙个节目不觉得多么有名啊？这不多么好多有道理，这个下面的天天现在的我，这些明显有名啊，第看啊，老对吧？就是给对那错吧。错吧，你就是昂州没错那没这昂没这个对面把你这昂没就。看到昂州民族现在这样的得了啥的就，现在昂州了河南人，看到地震大嘛，对他讲呢，我是多心做大把说也就把那张心的。领导对他们把些稍微用点脑呢做些着觉得没那么着啊，因为俺把这个人心送年的人们得了对面提醒用的他们的这样，说能什么些人用的边那这也心的让人就。生命过了说吧了，得路要把些我们我那的就让些那我能些心面，去年。这年就让得说就得了，那么说上面那么说来呢，得说些没些那得说。得说到我你的呀，那样没把样嘛也得说些我也没那样，你我这我也得你上不去那地啥的差往现在，然后到那差距差啥的到没到我呢，天有我当时呢。没到你的知名度，然后得了些没呢？对我说我没到你，给的没把个人没，见面没就是些的那我说我没把见我的全面的叫我那把， Kede Gyulen Jenena Se Samesa Savajura Reje Rinji Ribiji Savanyala Chong Ko Guaje Jigdin Mombe Madonna Tini Shiji Shatini 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 Shiza de Shidi Jigdin La Yagani Yobaje de Tongoma Jigdin Sene Jigdin Semani Sawa Tuan de Mai Kede Semani Mena Namati Shi Zumba Minjur Tinye Dino Tongba Nye Gomba Ya Tiye Metinjo Tabi Muda Mariba Tiye Minjum Tijera Dumbe Ngu Kani Tiye Ngu Me Sewa Dumi Tena Mena Du Peshila Teme Nyam Be Nam Do Ne Tiye Nambar Do Ba Ye Kikshi Te Dumba Ye Tiye Te Da Na Jebe Goya Dume Yo So Pang Duba Ye Jena La Ya Ne Ma Ye Shene Omba Ma Ni La Ne Wa Ma Ye Doma Mombe Daba Kang Xin De Juma Le Ne Xie Jie Ye Jume Zhuba Kang Yin Da Ju Yuna Jie Ne Kang Kang Jia Ten Ne Kang Liang Wong Jue Xing An Kang De Zhuang Da Ba Ji Kang Ye Kang De Nie Wa Ye Tong An Xue De Me Na Te Yu De Me Na Me Ba Zhuo Su Su Yin Tang An Zong Ba De La De Ye Xie Da Ye Ngo Wa Ye Ba Xue Ba Jiyo Goba Jiyo Wunde Dene Mena Ye Jiyo Goba Jiyo Shawa Chakya Jiyo Jangwa Ngobo Yoba Judi Nega Dengwa Sheta Yin Ngu Jire Shin Yanga Kanshe Ye Me Tse Me Tse Ngo Yo Si Me Ngoba Yoba Na Shik Ngoba Jewa Juma Juwa Ngome Tane Neven Deven Jira Ngome Tane Mandi Ngobo Yebe Kawe Me Zewa Ngobo Me Waran Jeme Dewa Rangshin Nisu Ten Jiro Shira Tetara Ngobo Yeme Ngobo Yeme Ti Shira Rowa De Tabi Maje Pa La Maje Maka Nye Rowa Meno Tabi De Nambara Chena Rowa Shiyur Nyangen De Donga Ma De Bang Tinye De Nime Chewa Me Tetara Tongbi Ngona Toba Jiwa Shaji Yo Kange Rim Zhuwa Xeba Yung De Yung De Yung So Ye Wang Ji De Wang Dunga Kang Le Yin Jikara Je Yo Jikara Je Yo Gaji Mika Je Yo Gaji Tenye Tenye Je Kaji Se Je Kang La Se Je Na Na Swambe Je Den De Kang Xin De Ne Xin Jungju Kang Jungju Kang Nye Na Xie Jiang Kang Xie Ye Tang Jie Nang Kan Zhao Ye Dang Zhe Yong Su Song Dang Ye Dewa De Nam Jie Ta Da Zhe Yu Da Ge Rao De Chou Da Ga Wa Ra Xie Nyang Hen De Zong Zhe Wa Da Pin Zhu Zhe Zhe Dan Bi Ba De Da Ge Ne Cik Xin Cikjin zuo den zhou yang da yang an wang de de mang bo jie ne ne xin ne ne song dong ne yu zhong mi se nam yun so long se ba na ne yang sha mang de ne de ne men de zhou de zhe yang ping zhong ge sen na ti de zha mi de yang be be me se be dong ye jia zuo ta ye len de Tene de da do xiu xie tene zhen yang tong wa ne den yang song da ne me jie xi de da zhe de ye wa de ye de mo ce de ti xin xie de zhou ba tong me xie le ti de tong me zhe da ye nam xi xin de ye wa ga wa de ya nam yin ge kong bo ye do be be ta wa ne me ke ka le 태양 예수 신번에 동문실에 뒤에 좀 봐시 되는 로벨라 망하시는 태동을 저 예가 라야 대화니에 가시는 상제 중원이 시도가 니모쇼 방가데 에마둥에 노마둥에 줄줄 둥에 디마쇼 这在现实中个呀，让都没东行业把东西说呢，得到就两个下午，但那个一样样，这现在样样没说吧，在现实中个我呢讲的呢，得了皮。这在搞的前面啊，现在这边呢，那大部分都这些呢，你呀，说多没说。这在东边没东了，说那么真来了，叫个让个的说这细节怕着大能行就是能细节别把别说这个后边说那说啥，没别碰完就是那了，当把年呢，当把就是小时候是别这完了就把来。现在就留，现在就跑到就留的古堡哦。我大有的，给种没弄的给是东西吧，他今天你就可以呢。
跟的跟龙的那位跟偏就送上那个
那，
龙那就罗个，或者直接的估计就有嘛罗个，龙那我这个偏个就在送人呢。
而且龙起啊，这个啥，第二个知道的个啥，然后到做不上去，哎那，可是跑马是的就用马是过了，稍微有多少的没有，基本上过个是呢，这是个个。空没个龙没说这个是吧？他不是秋这个是上街多过是吧？可是上街就是已经没多过的。哦，你空是。
龙的这多把节的，你这把。
知道，这龙的这个就嘛就多把节新郎修呢，多把节那也是修的。
I just was requesting Geshe can we see a few words about the purpose of giving oral transmission or right, because we take for granted, kind of we Tibetans know, but maybe some of you know. I don't think everybody knows, and it's quite a bit of a time to do that. So as Geshe said, a couple of reasons. Number one is to authenticate the teaching, right, that started with Shakyamuni Buddha, the source of Buddha Dharma, and which has been passed down through lineage masters. Because it has been passed down through the lineage masters, this oral transmission is believed to have come down the lineage masters, and by receiving it, it blesses our mind stream, right? We receive the blessing so that when we practice it, that blessing oral transmission facilitates generating the realizations and the path. So that's the reason behind giving lung or the oral transmission. Okay.
我这他龙要有人着我这些详细了，他写的他留古巴的时候写了留，可是这东西写过，他东西写的，你写可是我们恐怕他是那几个说他的写几个没得写没得几个是这嘛他嘛说写就是。
The chapter 9 from the guide, deals with the wisdom gone beyond or the perfection of wisdom, Gyan Paramita, and the theme or the subject matter of this whole text is emptiness or shunyata, Tombanyi. Of course, emptiness has been, expounded in many other texts. Such as Uma Kongpa Rapsal, elucidating the middle way thought and like that. So emptiness, wherever it's taught, is the same emptiness. So the chapter 9 deals with emptiness. The change the course again. There was a bubble change.
Sure, Tabasi, Tabasi, Tabak, oh, inside, Genjo story, she got inside.
I can't just see
Sure, Tabasi,
so the commentary that Geshe is using, to teach this Bodhisattva guide is by Tibetan master called Chögyal Tagpa. Chögyal Tagpa, he became a monk at much later time in his life, but it's interestingly he himself belongs to the Lama Tsongkhapa's tradition, or we call Global tradition, but he received teaching on the guide from a great Nyingma master, Zapatu Rinpoche, right? So the lineage for him is receiving from Zapatu Rinpoche, but himself is a follower of Lama Tsongkhapa's tradition.
That this year, that Sajido, that Dom Dirika. Liu Gubakera, Liu Toast, Yada, Kinan, and dear Liu Gubakera, Liu Jung Shevala, Soms, Takot, to that shed, doesn't share as a som non the US. Don't you do Bakera, Gag, Eugene, Dorda Bajixe. And the don't you do Bakera, Ye, Sheda, give you them. Gone, gave a sheva. In the Tony Dobe, Shera Geva las, Bever Dabe, Gone, Tondu was, the Tondu son of Dogo, because that now you Tabata of Carto, Tony Dogo Sajero, but this the Tango the Carzana, Tony Dobe Shera Jacob, Eugene. Going to but Tony Madonna and the Tabataji of Kanato, Jayo Marisi, but he daughter, Tony daughter, which she. And Tony the Shera, she died to them, and she gave a tappy, she would Tasco Jayo Moro, she tapped to her, she would say, she. And Tony the Shera, she took Gumzu, Katavata, Tony the Shera, Jeva, Beva, Shada, just on the. In Tagasi, because so Bezo Maji not only the Sheriff Tagasi Jam Maris. So they tell a college and Bezon Shagure, so did it that on that Dom to some
So before I translate what Geshe said, just sort of a footnote or end note, whatever you want to call it, or oral note. So the translation of this guide I'm using is by Stephen Batchelor's. And so he has, rendered this particular into a prose and dialogue form. A couple of stanzas are there, pretty much it's the original text is all in stanzas, okay? And so I may not read unless I feel, it's okay to read in the sense that because the prose and dialogue is also interspersed with some explanation. So I want to stick to how Geshe explains it rather than I read that one and then you get confused somewhere along the line. But there's another translation by the Padmakara translation. They did in the stanzas. Perhaps, if stanzas need to be read, I might read that and just trusting their translation there. Okay, that's my just translation pedagogy issue there. Okay, now back to what Geshe said. So this Chapter 9 explanation is presented under three main points or outlines. Number one, in a very brief way, why must one, cultivate the wisdom gone beyond or perfection of wisdom? Why is it is needed, right? Trying to answer the question why in a very brief form. So basically, as Geshe said, whether we would like to achieve nirvana, complete freedom from samsara for ourselves, or whether we would like to attain Buddhahood and enlightenment, we must cultivate the wisdom gone beyond or the perfection of wisdom. And that's basically the reason why. Then the second main outline is in a more detailed presentation how to generate or cultivate that wisdom. Okay? And then the third outline is kind of summarizing conclusion and also advising us that we should, pursue the practice of cultivating this wisdom. So under those three main outlines, the wisdom chapter is presented.
Liu Shantideva la jana Liu Jeban ni Shebe, the Shinezam Shinang, Rumujang, then Zun Nashewe, Yesi, Chebe, Yanigi, Sinso Yena, Yazo Yena come, you saw that Tamjini, Tibetan Tamji came base, the Jatijan Kazaki, you don't do a share of the knee, Bangsa Shitaboniji, 2 用是戒备同的送行。这嘛是让东的他把是他把样东西都别，现在你没得么了也不提前呢，让的现在西北东人，他到电就让的小人这边是，说的让吧，干巴子没别说一咱们吧是。常不做不到没，现在让就了，基本上规的，上规的，让系统就是，这他把的他们这些吧，看着讲没得么的，就一笔是我是他这里开始，东西到个就这的吧，是这里他看见，对吧？他把他们些到过，这东西没多呢，这东西的他。차라도 뭐보셔야 요리 다다디다 ten교로 돈이 정심에 봤어야 되와 어디 또 그랬어. 그래서 서지게 초나서送的초나서 거지送的么送的只是刚刚东西都写了的呀特写不啊写着用着把对吧的呀通常送的是了的在特别写都送是对吧我写的就说的那都有到过有点写的电视的
So on page 136, the opening stanza, which is rendered in stanza form, reads, all of these practices were taught by the Mighty One for the sake of wisdom. Therefore, those who wish to pacify suffering should generate this wisdom, unquote. Yeah. So, as Geshe explained, that whether we would like to pursue one's own individual liberation from samsara called nirvana, or whether we would like to pursue Buddhahood, complete enlightenment for the sake of all others, we must generate or cultivate this wisdom. Okay? So that is essential requirement, in other words. And of course, this wisdom is focused on emptiness. And so if you look through the Buddhist schools of thought, tenets, Dupta, Siddhant, so there are different presentations on what emptiness is. Some of them are regarded as coarse, like understanding of emptiness and other subtle understanding of emptiness. And of course, in this particular chapter, the approach adopted is that of Prasangika Madhyamika, or Matingyurva. So basically presenting the subtle emptiness or the subtlest understanding of emptiness. So that's required for liberation and enlightenment. So Buddha has taught many discourses, but all of them, are meant for us to be able to develop this beyond. That's the reason, right? All different types of teachings Buddha gave, are to facilitate, to augment the development of this particular wisdom. And why we need this particular wisdom is for us to be able to uproot the two types of mental obscurations, right? Afflictive emotions or delusive obscuration, nyuntip in Tibetan, kleshas, in order to get rid of the cognitive obscuration or shedip, the obscuration to omniscience, as we say. This wisdom gone beyond is an essential thing, and therefore, all the teachings are geared towards that, Buddhas, and so that we need to, cultivate this wisdom.
당매 또 오세요 직발이 나한테 당매도 차라도 다지 샤고다 시스샤리다 도대바다 가서 시라마 도대바즈는 강사랑 이대비도 동아사샤 섬자베 디가려 쇼이당에서 송진이 동사야지 길 차지샤 런제베 양 老那边那个叫嘛，有人都嘛都这边东方山去，再来查一下。天就我他都被当成山去，我这想，他们黑下我是他的那些他们多个山的，天就黑他们多个是我的是。
So all the Buddhist, schools of thoughts or tenets, Siddhanta schools, all of they, present the concept of selflessness, right? Dharma in Tibetan. But that presentation differs from one another. Maybe we can say there are 4 different ways presentation of what selflessness means. According to Vaibhashika Chidamava and Sautantika Dodeba, they talk about selflessness in terms of, there is no such thing as self-sufficient, substantially existent self or person, right? So that's what it means, selflessness in those 2 Buddhist schools of thought, right? Sort of emptiness or the selflessness of a self-sufficient, substantially existent self of a person. In Tibetan called Kangsa Rangjatube Zeyu Tongba. If anybody is listening to the Tibetan part there. And then in the Chitta Mahatrin on mind-only school, Semzamba. So Semzamba not only talks about selflessness of a person, they also talk about selflessness of phenomena. And this is where the Chitta Mahatrins, talk about the emptiness or selflessness in terms of non-duality of subject and object, right? Sungjin Nidong, the emptiness of duality between what is perceived and the perceiver. So that's another presentation of selflessness in the highest Buddhist school of thought. Then in the middle way school or Madhyamika school, Umapabi said there are 2 schools. One is the Umat Rangyuba, Sevatantrika Madhyamikan school, and the other is Umat Tengyurba, Prasangika Madhyamika school, the top of the line, right? So according to Sevatantrika Madhyamikan schools, Umat Rangyuba, what they say is that, there isn't a self, right, that exists under its own unique modes of existence without appearing to a correct perception or perceiver. And so that is the Sevatantrika Madhyamika's presentation of selflessness there. Then the Prasangika Madhyamika said that everything is merely imputed or labeled. Talk about taksam, right? Tak means to impute, to label. Tsam means merely. Right? We emphasize so much word. I don't know how much sense gives out of this English word. Merely is a big deal, right? Merely labeled, imputed phenomena. Talk about taksam, okay? And there's nothing more, there's nothing less. So as you can see, even within Buddhist schools of thought, right, tenets, we have different presentations of what selflessness is.
There is a jinzo in a lot of the Hiragi Tong, Sungju, the Jungse Chena. She did Dubale, she says he gave it or 10 Maso, but is it only Tabat in the Domingo? He some batara, Tony Dobala, source of a mundi, Dogo Jang. There she be Jinzo, GSTDL, you Teda Mundu, Dogo war, Mangibe, Sweeney, Deda Tina, Deda, the Konani, Tusum Gitoba Zamla, Jinzo Shansun Gijoba. Deda Mundu, Dogo, never made it. The Konani, Tusum Gitoba, you made it. Never made it. Only Tosum Gas, there are public Oma Gendu, Oma Gendu, Nisheva Sheno. Only lies. Enjoy you some Java lion. Jinso Jave, Nale, Namsle, Moody never drove me good day. Tigona Metabada. Lenje the Ishi Deva tabu se nyam nyu jawa la yang de da ngon de do go ba sung be chero to ni do be go jung ge la gong jawa la ya jin zo yi de yin yi chue ba de da ngon de do go ba ma nge de de ting me pa ba na la yang to ni do be se ta wa ni ba de go ba de be chero sta dire 얘가 다 다시 집에 해라 돈 송세야 돈도 왜 해라 문 로가 세야 인티징 얘나도 가르가르 샤그레세나 제가 돈이 좀 도발이야 인디 카르사 인디 주소 파르지바 강공원 로고 드레스고 말이스 돈이 왜 해라디 다 메나 인디 티바시 체중 그 탈바다 탑지게 발랑 가 토고 말이지 tanto dogo mado jiyan geza gaga to yido be shera bun dogo skar deve to shevers direct ge kai maris o desi wata.
So if we pay attention to the lines in the root text, it says all of these practices or discourses were taught by Buddha, the Mighty One, for the sake of wisdom. Okay, so all these practices, which would include, for example, any practice of virtues, or from Bodhisattva's point of view, all the other perfections, all right, the perfection of generosity and so forth, right? So all of them were taught, for the sake of cultivating this wisdom. So what does that mean? Does it mean that before we could cultivate this wisdom, we must practice all other perfections first, right? And then only then we can do it. But that's not the sense of it. The meaning is that, whether one is seeking one's own personal nirvana from samsara, or one is seeking enlightenment for the sake of everybody else, what is required is the wisdom, right? That's universal kind of thing. So that's the meaning, right? That whether you follow the Theravada or whether you follow the Mahayana, the goals are different, whether one pursues a personal liberation or universal kind of enlightenment, but the wisdom gone beyond is essential in both cases. Yeah.
다다 청주선 개와 장르야 동유도 람고도 로고 쓰고 말아. 세다 뒤서 뒤 도주시도다. 다디 도 거래시워서 엔디 예바 매장에 동유모도 가서 디 청주선 개와 동유도 되게 가서 동유도 청주선 개와 되게 고고 말이스. 얘나 그 동유도 해라디 타바다 탑지 해버 타바라 이지미다. 인 디고다. 얘나 제가 디고다. 어디고 제가 디시워스 어디시다 양 그래서 돈이도 베셔라디 시도다 특제 저의 특별 조정 개와도 가갈 돈이도 베셔라고 저거를 디레 말이지 타바 탑지체와 토야 그게 다 뉴저 방야다 시저 방야 어디니 가름 강이나 아니 어디 돈이도 베셔라 뉴데 시발라 아니 지조 저와 해달라 그래스 어디서
So if we say even stay within Mahayana pattern practice, we find two ways to do that. One is first we cultivate bodhicitta or the altruistic mind of enlightenment, and then next we cultivate the ultimate bodhicitta or the wisdom gone beyond. Right, that's one way. Or one may cultivate the wisdom gone beyond first, and then one may cultivate the bodhicitta later, isn't it? So what this tells us is that wisdom gone beyond is not a prerequisite to be able to do any other practices first, isn't it? But what is essential is that whether we want to achieve one's own nirvana or the enlightenment, right, one must cultivate this wisdom gone beyond, right? Because this wisdom gone beyond, as we said before, it's essential to uproot both the afflictive emotions or klesha nyönmong and also the cognitive obscuration or shedip, right? In order to uproot them, we need this wisdom. Therefore, the wisdom to be able to have that ability to do that, then we also need all other practices, right, to assist or to kind of augment the wisdom.
In the Sanjeva, in the Pajin to the Yan Labni, in Tony Toby, Sierra, the Sanjeva Gomoto, Toby on the Shena, any easy Pajin to Lab Grace or this was it. Or the young New Jersey Bambala, Pajin to Lab Grace, Yoma, yes, or this was.
So, in other words, of course, this guide is really presenting the Mahayana pattern practices, right? Of bodhisattvas, and the goal of the Mahayanists or Mahayana practitioners is to achieve Buddhahood, enlightenment for the sake of everybody, right? And so for that, we must uproot both afflictive emotions and cognitive obscuration, and for that, we need the wisdom gone beyond. Not just that is enough, now we need the other perfections that we talked about before, right? From the perfection of generosity to the perfection of samadhi or concentration. If our goal is to achieve enlightenment, we need this wisdom, but we need this wisdom along with the other perfections so that we will be able to uproot the two types of mental obscurations. Otherwise, the other perfections are not a prerequisite or requirement if one is simply wants to just achieve, to get rid of afflictive emotions, isn't it? If one simply wants to get rid of afflictive emotions, the other perfections are not a prerequisite or necessity there. Okay. Yeah.
What did that? Because the two want to show that you get it done, and don't you do a share of some 2 or 2 pound to ship the Jiguarava?
No,
You know, so she do she don't you do a share of the hit up the triple Nudeshivala, in any Karsa. Changes some that the Shindu to love race, what this was saying. So don't part to Jiggy Panther, Jiguardi, she not that so on the scene, any day he said, what did it?
But in a sense, we also know that bodhicitta and the wisdom gone beyond, they complement each other, isn't it? In a sense, we can see that the bodhicitta assists the wisdom gone beyond, or helps with that development, and the wisdom gone beyond also impacts the bodhicitta practice. But here in this context, if you want to uproot cognitive obscuration, shidip, then we must cultivate both the wisdom gone beyond and the other perfections, right? Otherwise, you cannot get rid of the cognitive obscuration. But if our goal is only to get rid of delusive obscuration, then we don't have to necessarily do that.
What did that? Tony most Mudobe Mirata Sura Tamje Gang, you ne the Konanil Shore Sumba de Tondawe. Don't you do a sheraman? Junior Kong Young Sabon Severa Shimuni Shing. You tell them you Sabon Severa, don't you do a shera? Yes, Sonum so Taibe, Simba Muguja. The Shida Gisam Sevalani, Sonum you saw. Taibe, Yen, the Urim to Kobashi, Goves, then the Jinzo 탑기 라트다 런 주대기 택진기 강사 주기 돈이도 비셔 티니 히드봉누지 년보 퇴진도 통도 송바인데 런도 타바도 돈이 녀와 남진네 대리 기시 유모점 방제 주시라 현동의 시자 당시前边 고모 돈이와 나이네 대리 기시기 시제 방제 주시 거비셔로스 어디 다단데 이나도 특별히 티바시모 온시네 이내 파르 파르지 뭐 조라네 파르지 뭐 조발라야 되거든 셰랍디야 투셔버야 도달 라리스 어디 티바시모 가서 온시 티바시모디 심지타도 상이 고마터야로 이제 가가요 히드 방자 가가요서 어디 돈 이조 파르시마티 네바도 셰랍 강수 넘베서 잡네 인데 뽕으로서 뭐도 제당 그 타바도 도와라 인지 이조 파르시마 저 이제 뭐지 거야 뭐 이나도 저게 타바토고 레스 어디서 그랬다.
So all of these practices were taught by Buddha for the sake of wisdom, is explained in the context of Mahayana path and practices, isn't it? The Mahayanists or Mahayana practitioners, main interest is to get rid of cognitive obscuration or obscuration to omniscience, right? They don't want to get rid of the delusive obscurations, but the primary obscuration is the shedip in Tibetan. And so to be able to get rid of that, then it is essential that one has to accumulate incredible amount of merit, punya, right, which usually comes from the practice of other perfections, from the generosity, to the samadhi, and so combining, the merits gained from those, because those merits will augment, facilitate, make the wisdom more powerful, more potent to be able to tackle and get rid of shedip or cognitive obscuration. Okay? So therefore, all those other perfections are meant to help us generate powerful wisdom so that it can uproot the cognitive obscuration. For other things, like say, if one is interested to find nirvana, then one's primary interest is to get rid of delusive obscuration, not the cognitive obscuration per se, isn't it? And for that, the wisdom gone beyond is essential, necessary, right? However, there is no necessity for one to practice all other perfections. That's not a requirement, right? To be able to develop the wisdom gone beyond to achieve one's own personal nirvana.
What this is because then the so the teaching of the mother Jedang Yunda Pamba Tiria any toward the Paris or to single Maris. This was hit upon Yambo teaching the tone to Sumba in there. Rondo Tabato told Nangi, he to Shela. She knows she said they would go to the she deposits to she go share still. You don't eat the Dami Chava Dragger, Dakaje. That Ranji Mizit and the Dami dogs, don't you dogs, see Omar Tavato. You Tavato, don't eat the Dami Jibasha. Tavato Jokato and Tony dogs, Ranji Mizit, Kaza Dami to Atilshani, the Tony Shago, she said. Tabato, don't you do more Kaza, Dagmetelia, don't degrees and don't you tell Karsa, Dagmelia, don't you tiny Chibashani, Yan don't you the Kaza, the Kakashangi, your she said, don't you the Kaza, the Miss, don't you got short Chibashangi, 10 euro, or 10 euro, the other Mandu the Diego, 10 euro to here was Karsana. You go near you of the 10 euro in silver. She said, Gaga did. So here the Donga Kavaina, so here the Tenjo look or she was.
No. So when we say that all of these practices were taught by the Buddha for the sake of wisdom, all these practices refer to the other paramitas or the perfections. And of course, these are only taught in the Bodhisattva's practices, isn't it? The Sharvaka yans, the hearers, do not talk about perfections or paramitas there, right? There's no such requirement. So if one's goal is simply to achieve one's own freedom from samsara, then yes, the wisdom gone beyond or wisdom is essential. Now I'm not going to say like wisdom is essential, but there is no need to practice perfections along with the wisdom, right, to get rid of the delusive obscurations. But if our goal is to get rid of cognitive obscuration, which is much harder to do because our goal is to achieve Buddhahood, then we really need to amplify our wisdom to the T, right? And the other practices, the merits that we gain really do that add added power to the wisdom to get rid of the cognitive obscuration. And also, again, Geshe wants to clarify that, in the Prasangika school of thought, so the highest Buddhist school of thought we could use the term emptiness, shunyata, and anatma, selflessness, as interchangeable synonyms, okay? But in other schools, sometimes they might differ it, right? They may not use emptiness, or they may use it, but they say it's not the same as selflessness. Okay? In other Buddhist schools of thought, Sevatandika Madhyamikan, and down below, what they say is that in order to achieve nirvana, dharma, one must realize selflessness, anatma. They don't talk about emptiness there, right? One must realize anatma or selflessness to achieve nirvana. But the Prasangikas say that whether you want to achieve nirvana or enlightenment, you must realize emptiness. With me? So the way the Prasangika Madhyamika's presentation of emptiness is regarded as the most authentic and presentation, because we believe that reflects the way things actually exist. The way in which things actually exist is something that Prasangikas got it, right, finally, so to speak. So therefore, in that school, emptiness and selflessness means the same thing, right? Just different terms meaning the same thing. No.
What did that? Tenjo Lushina and Tikwa Sunga, don't you know what you were at the Sina, Niranda, Niranda in the Shitapang with the Karshi Sena, don't you know what Shera the Sheda, Powers of Jedi, Jobak to Massins, and did Pang the race, or the hero, or the you didn't that they live or what?
No.
Sheda, that the Tibet, that the Tibet Sheraton Sung said the 탑재 제모터발래. 어디서 뭐도 지당 타바자 토를 고마르시. 니라서야 이 타바토고 버리시. 타바자 뭐 돈이도 뭐 직발해야지. 제가 타바자 뭐도 탑재 제모고 토모도 어디 가려서는 돈이도 왜 해라데. 이 예지 저와 신루기 냐네디 초어디 야보면서 이 대고 빵 와서 그래서 너도 좀 진짜서 왔다.
So in a nutshell, from Prasangika Madhyamika schools of thought, Umathingyuba in Tibetan, right, all the practitioners of the three vehicles or yanas, whether you are followers of Sharvaka yan, the hearers seeking your own personal liberation, or whether you are practitioners of the Pratyeka Buddha yan, solitary realizers, that you must realize emptiness to achieve your goal. Okay? And emptiness that you must realize is the same as emptiness that the Bodhisattvas realized. There is no qualitative or quantitative difference here. It's just the same emptiness. Does it make sense? Yeah. So that means from Prasangika school of thought, realizing emptiness is essential to achieve the nirvana of Sharvakas, the nirvana of Pratyeka Buddhas, and the enlightenment of Bodhisattvas. Yeah. But now we can say, okay, if the emptiness is the same for all of them, then how come Sharvakas and Pratyeka Buddhas are not becoming Buddhas? Right? What is holding them back? That's where we come back to this statement, is it? All of these practices are taught by Buddha for the sake of wisdom, because Sharvakas and Pratyeka Buddhas do not practice the perfections or the paramitas, okay? Whereas Bodhisattvas do and must practice paramitas, and that really augment the wisdom, that amplify the wisdom to get rid of cognitive obscuration to achieve enlightenment. So that's the big difference. So from Prasangika point of view, emptiness is just the same, right, in all three vehicles or yanas.
Tongba Dhamma Zang Musu Doxing, Tikoma Sheba Be Tijin Yangde, Tingme Yangde Toba Mainam Shena, Dende, Oma Ronjiba Menji, Dhamma Kelenwe, around the page Kunja, the Sheva, Chunyang. Then the Lomo Luterji, Goba Tumo Maiba. But then the water be Tewa Tarna. Rejetamale, she's a Pumba Zeba, she's a longi, Pumba Denzi, Yoba, the Mayeva Rang singing Toba Zibe, Jigda Doba, Jita Mundoba Songing. Tingme Dajoji Jangan, Jigda Pambe, Kunje, Dogola, Tela, Pumba Denzi, Segobes, Yerala, Yerapa Be, Jang, Pumba Demeto Goba. Shejing, Yizishambu Dijang, Teda, Tuba, Tabazo Tuba Lion, the Koya Ye Chamoto Gover, she do what the ever shadows, or did you don't die any Dutamatua, Tabatova, don't you go the Mugo, Chevaria, tell you about Tabatova, don't you do, Marie, that tell you dog race, or the dog race. Temo Omo Ranji Ranja to Tomato, the Tabato Shawara, or did not share the old machine is over. So this was the Tata, the Yela data, the Tibetan Society, Tibashabulam, Tamji Shamato, Jago, Juzelia, Shia, what he calls the war. So she said this on the in the Dudu, Dutamo, Sosu Dudu, Soso Shaguri, so this was that.
So as Geshe explained, that the distinctions between what we call the yanas, vehicles, is not really made in terms of the ontological reality or status of phenomena from Prasangika point of view. But the distinction is made in terms of the altruistic behaviors, behavioral conduct, right? And as we stated earlier, even within Buddhist schools of thought, tenet schools, Dupta, we find different presentations of emptiness and selflessness, isn't it? And as Geshe explained before, for Savatandika Madhyamikan school and the schools down below, we're talking Buddhist schools, for them, for anybody to achieve nirvana, one's own personal liberation from samsara, one must realize selflessness. They don't talk about emptiness. What kind of a selflessness? Selflessness of a substantially and self-sufficiently existent person. That realization, that wisdom is good enough to achieve personal liberation. But Prasangika said that in order to achieve one's own liberation from nirvana, one must realize emptiness. Use the word emptiness, shunyata, isn't it? So the emptiness is the same qualitatively in all the vehicles from Prasangika point of view. There is no different levels of emptiness here. Emptiness is just the same. So that emptiness is really presented by Prasangika's following the approach of Arya Nagarjuna, Arya Chandrakirti, and as is stated in the Ratna Avali, Precious Garland, Rinchen Tenwa, that as long as you have grasping at aggregates, psychosomatic aggregates, sugandhas, you will also have grasping at I or self, isn't it? So in order to get rid of grasping at I, we need also to work on grasping at aggregates as well. So we will stop there today, and we welcome your questions. Do we have anything online, or what we call that, Facebook?
Nothing online
Live?
yet. Sorry, thank you. Just a clarification. I just want to see if you can clear a little bit on the lucid obscurations and cognitive obscurations. Like, what are the terms or what the meanings or
Sure.
the differences?
Can nyundib the shitib nyingi yawa chadang soronas again.
알레
Nyundib the shitib.
알레 다다다디 시고 걸사 텐주로 희자신 다시는
No.
됐어다 뉴은접해야 될다 노자 코로나서 뭐디 희망군이 이게 간가들 뉴은접스
No.
다 희망면을 에말 코 종종 쇼되고 지고로 그래서 니들 배나 먼저 몇 그래서 지금 내 뉴를 보지 나한테 세네네 세네메스도 코 나자보라 차사 영자 차사네 거야 수고 쪽으로 사는 그 농지미라 쪽으로 차죠로 어디 쪽차 돼야지 나자디 쇼고스요 어디 너시세네 나자 차사나 코 쪽으로 사서 어디 너시 뉴저 반사나 코 종종 상말류도죠로 어텔이야 네 히르스 워리스 들 히바 많이 쳐고다
Deep pakjas labgura
Pakjas.
labshen digorwa. No. So Geshe says, okay, let me just at the moment talk it from the Prasangika school of thought. Okay, and so according to Prasangika's the nyuntiv, I call it delusive obscurations, maybe the new word I made, or afflicted emotions obscuration, really refers to all that kind of perceptual things, isn't it? Attachment, anger, right? All these perceptions related things. Whereas the cognitive obscuration or the shedib in Tibetan, so this is not something perceptive or cognition. It is the remnants of something left over from the perception. So we could use the word pakcha, latencies or imprints, isn't it? And the example Geshe has given is very, I think, useful one. That somebody got really bad health for a while, and then you take treatment, everything, and you are pretty much fine, isn't it? You recover, but there's something nagging, isn't it? And what is that something? You don't have the same energy level. You're not the same healthy person. All is right, but there's something there, right? So that remnant thing, impact, whatever, that is what we call cognitive obscuration. So it is possible to uproot the afflictive emotions, nyuntiv, but there could be that sort of impact or the imprints there still. So that's the distinction. Okay. Yeah. Oh, another thing I forgot during the translation is that, a lot of schools of thought we mentioned, the details will come through as we go through the text. Okay, it's just highlighted there. Okay? Otherwise, you think, oh my God, we just kind of zoom through.
Thank you. So I don't know if Geshe can speak to this, but I was interested in the Theravada for a long time, and recently I'm not so interested in it anymore. But so just like for clarification, so in the Theravada schools, in general, they don't teach the emptiness of phenomena.
Emptiness of what?
Of phenomena, like they don't teach emptiness. Is that something that's specific to?
Oh, I said they don't teach, right?
I was just wondering, do they or do they not?
I
teach
said,
it
what
then?
was your understanding first before I said? Did you think that they're teaching emptiness there?
Yeah, I thought before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that all the
Theravada,
schools
right.
teach that, but I guess they don't teach
Mm-hmm.
the
Mm-hmm.
lack of intrinsic existence in things. They
Uh-huh.
teach maybe selflessness, like
Okay,
things are
okay,
not self, but
Okay, now I got it more clearly. Quran condition this again. Quran gi the nyinde tebe lu ro te chang me dong ma ro again. So the danda song da chewe na Quran ma te nyinde tebe gi da lu na tong ba ni she go some change sa ro again. Da danda che de ka ya ran shin ru be tong ba de she go some res ro again. Ran shin tong ba de she go some res and ji ga la da me be ko de she go be de ne re sa king sa da na da and nyinde tebe lu so ro again.
지도 이게 당길라 그래서 강사 랑제도 제 동시에 될 결과를 타와도 랑유면이 강갈 동유도 오고 머리 랑제
동이 단위 작용 말 again.
동유도 오고 쓰고 머리
Yes, I explained before, as Geshe said, that in the Buddhist schools of thought, from the Sevatandega Madhyamika middle school all the way down to Vaibhashikas, right? They said that one has to realize selflessness, right, to achieve nirvana. And what kind of a selflessness? The selflessness is, selflessness of a self-sufficient and substantially existent self. Yes. They don't talk about emptiness there, right? Whereas Prasangika say, no, they use the word emptiness. It's the same in that school or this school, doesn't matter, right? That's the distinction we're making. Yeah. So now your question is, what is that? Self-sufficient or what? I don't know. What are you doing?
Like,
You're doing this. You're doing this.
Yeah, I was like, so.
What is this, right?
What is this? So selflessness.
Or how does that relate to us? So you mean?
Or I mean, like, so would they say there isn't an intrinsic self, but external things out there intrinsically exist? Would that is that?
No, actually, they don't talk about emptiness of intrinsic reality, Theravadins, from our point of view, right? They talk about selflessness in the sense of there is no self-sufficient, substantially existent self. I know, mouthful to say, that kind of selflessness, right? Yeah.
So they don't even talk about it.
Right. Conservation again, that the Kansa Rangja to be J, the Shantideva Kala, Kansa Jim, mother, Chur Tamja, then the Shigi Marves again. Kansa Rangja, that J, then the Tokachago Marwaga, Kansa Rangja to be Siduko Kansa, co direct the social Pangol Shinra, the aging mother, Jig, Uma by Shevan, the Churo, you Chur Tamja, Ranshi to Tonga, then the Shigi Marwasa.
Ganga Shagdale, Koran, the Shago Marwa. The long Georgia, Ranjata Kansa, the long Georgia, those the 2 times a day in the Kansa, and we shall show Ranjata.
Jay the Shartse words. In a Benagadi, Chokse thing Ranja to the Kansa, Ranja to a Chigi, Pijat and Chokse the Yomares.
Long Georgia, or this is Tiger Shash.
Alidi, because Chokse thing Ranja to be Jay Tonga Shawar again.
Georgia Koran had to be the Kansa, then we come Shagmari. Kansa Ranja to take a long Georgia Shimmer.
Then the Yomares. Is the way we talk about, right? Those who subscribe to the notion of there is no such thing as self-sufficient, rangja, substantially existent, zeyu, right, person or a self, right? So how does that might apply to all other things, phenomena, as we're just looking at? What they're saying is that because there is not such a self or person, so there aren't any phenomena that are usable by such a person, isn't it? There is no table that belongs to self-sufficient, substantially existent Mr., right? Or Madam, right? There isn't one. Are you with me? Is that making sense? Yeah. Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Some questions online.
Yeah.
So I'll ask the one related to this topic first. Yes. When the lower schools, when prasangikas refer to the lower schools, realization of selflessness, is that incorrect, or is it simply a lesser realization than emptiness?
Tajeto na kandi shuash la roage. Danda uma tenju we ngwe na mata denas roage. Kansa rangja thebe jeju ton we tame che roa. Ke tame di ji kharso gore tes ko neru de masan ma chungar roage. Yana di bet nor res go west roage. Di bet nundu chen la go yor west roa. Re yamana ni di ya di bet tame na ko neru ma roage. Ko di the dig yores ko neru ma shores di gande la go res. Uma tenju be tebi na Kansa rangja tebe jeju tomo de be no ne lam lopa rang re roage. Re yamane ne ko dig the yori ne ko neru de master gen roako. Can sing it again.
Lam lopa le go mo. Ko neru ma is question in the tawa tamji shaba top to go ma is tawa tamji ko top to go ma is.
Ale tenju be chemen di to ba zamgi tawa tamji tawa top to mal roage. Rangja tebe jeju top zamgi.
Neru de tongwa ko to ni tawa top to ma is tawa to ji
Right. So from Prasangika school's point of view, right, they're saying that, the selflessness of a self-sufficient, substantially existent person is not completely off base or wrong, okay? But that is not hitting the mark, but simply realizing that you are not going to achieve nirvana, right? Prasangikas insists that in order to achieve your nirvana that you talk about, you must realize emptiness, because the selflessness of a self-sufficient, substantially existent is not adequate to bring you to that nirvana.
I have a follow-up right there. So would that still be considered a realization by the Prasangikas?
Ine kansa rangja tebe jeyo yi tongpa tokpa di koji nyamda tokpa roji kungla tsi chokor besa koji gare ina ji pento yo barisi. Di jene koji nyam. Yeah, it's considered as a realization because it really tackles certain kind of what called distorted right perception. So it's not completely wrong or base. But just as they claim this is adequate to achieve nirvana, Prasangikas say no, right? You need to realize emptiness. Okay, yeah.
There's another question online. This person says, it seems that emptiness always provides a route of escape or a distraction.
Say it again.
Sure. This person says, it seems like emptiness provides an escape route or a distraction. So the question is, with that premise, the question is, how can one stabilize the mind in the vastness of emptiness so that it is no longer distracted?
Oh, I see. Yeah. Sajeta ne kandi shue shiro rwage. This goes at the Dakanje to that so to wash you the rwage, and yan shushin yakin to you, rwage to what English. Korang de shish to the Tombani Tobaki, Takaso, Tombani Koreka Lodi rwage, Tembuch Tea Carriers, Koran Samba Tombani shade the Ganga, same the year dogan rwage. By year over Shagudus rwage. That was same the year Majimachi, Tombani Koreka, Yakote to Agua, Carriers was a cherish.
I thought you could Yaku data, then he needs a go. She need to go till you did it.
She never managed to you to be Shariki to go more.
My sheriff, you want to see what that. This is what
But don't you to be shut up, Kelly, Jimmy, she neck your water again. Ale.
Could temple go.
That meant any she never ever than the Tony to be shut up, get temple sugar, or the temple to Canaan go.
Don't do a sheriff, he never going to a sheriff, temple share to be trouble with the child, go England to make one using what the Mara.
So what Geshe is saying is that, if your concerns is about how can your mind stay stably or firmly in the vastness, emptiness, the way you put it, that's where we talk about the need to, to develop shamatha or calm abiding, isn't it? But calm abiding is not a necessity for developing the wisdom of emptiness. I checked with Geshe, but we can follow some questions if you have. But without calm abiding, right, we realize emptiness, but our mind is not going to sit really that well on it. It can again the base.
Oh dear, that didn't go to the issue. Because the Tony give up on in the Hinegua, you didn't this year, but Hing to say
No.
Hing Jala in a Tara noble there, like that noble Jixia.
No.
In Jay, started to shoot it and course, she's actually shoot on game. Yata, there you might, you some day shoot them, demo in the Marwa.
No.
So the thing. And the Pumba temple, Tata noble, Tata no Damito Shazongoro.
No.
Or the Pumba temple, Pumba temple, the Harris in the Hinegora.
No.
She's actually doing and on the chair, but your dad is you about anything the zero to somewhere.
No.
Or deep Jaya, Hinegua, you did it.
So in the context of it, we make an argument for why one must cultivate calm abiding or shamatha shine, right? Because that really stabilizes our mind, or that, how should I say, brings forth the stability of the mind. And the example given in certain texts is that a woodcutter, right? A woodcutter in an old-fashioned way needs a very sharp axe, isn't it? Whatever the instrument is. If the instrument is blunt, then it's not going to cut really well, right? But it's not enough to have a very sharp axe. But the woodcutter must have a very stable shoulder that you're going to hit on the same spot, right? You're not going to hit there and there and there and there, like that. It's not going to work, right? You should be able to hit the same spot. So for that kind of stability is a metaphor for cultivating karma. You know.
Thank you. So I'm going to state my question, but then explain what I mean by it.
Sure.
Is emptiness actually a cessation of all experience and all perception of phenomena? Or is emptiness really a dissolving of any notion of self so that one is experiencing all phenomena and all experience all at once? In other words, is emptiness really nothingness, or is it fullness and everythingness? By this, you know, there are the words omniscience and enlightenment, which I think are used interchangeably, or it's a synonym, you know, same thing.
Yes.
So if I fully realize, if I clear all my karma, all of my, you know, misperceptions and delusions, and I come to a full realization that I am not a self, there is this experience and phenomena just happening, and I'm just part of one big happening, and myself is essentially, you know, dissolved, for lack of a better word or way to think of it, into everythingness, and now I am
one with everything.
One with everything, omniscient, enlightened.
Yes.
Then is that the emptiness that you're talking about? And is that could you also think of it as actually a complete fullness, or I'm kind of confused.
Sure, okay. Well, I'll ask. I'm sure this will require much more explanation as we progress, right? The whole chapter is on that. But at this point, right, let's see what Geshe can say. Quran can issue the dirisha. The Geshe dang the Sharab Liu Chazan Tongban kwa shigur wa ta kwa tongyi kwa kan issue da again. Tanda kwa samla tanda chaban tongyi to wa ina sa wa ta tongyi chama chi kari ba to wa ina sa. Right? Quran ne da ni de shi shi ge do again. Tongyi to wa ina an ngan ze seminal semzo da de ne nyongwa da ro again. Na ba she wa kan ga be de ga chin je ro again. Kan ye me ba chi ye me ba cha ru ro ro jig ro again. Da dong da jig ro again.等到你把的，其实让当你到不人呢，看也没嘛这边是吧？我设计的别拉进去是吧？所以他们就缺他们这个车些钱的是吧？他缺他们这那边在几九了不钱的，但这块个商界别给这些个多，这个差的，今天这看这这是东半年时间的是吧？个，缺他们这我这不差的是吧？这个商界别跟那个不是，要么东半年是的看也没不钱的是吧？错话没吧？等你都些没吧？看也没呢，拉着呢啊，看这这是不是？
这样没么，他东北下的的，东北下的，大大写的下的，我的感觉的，别啷个这怕我们需要么这个多，现在怕脚上要么是，但脚上要么大大要么写的这个多，就是东北下的休息，不要到呀的歇时候，他俺这现在把那地是吧，他热的现在，东北的他有路就一些到现在他的。我这朋友家里没什么，都三个东个兄弟多。现在我吃不完，再给我提个头，这现在东西到完了，所有做个是现在没对。其实所有做没到，这些东西他们到我一下多，这东西到完了，他还是过来是什么当东西到都没，听他们说错啥，所有错啥呢？从你送这多呢，那什么多那么一些。这个结果现在东西都都嘛的是，是的，我现在东西现在，后来我的查过，我这不就其他看过这些，别那的长久生啥这个人生什么啥的，皆看过去是吧？皆看过的，搞我是没拉我休息的，所以现在长久生啥的这人生的这是，老早老啥这个是吧？ 다 돈이 사 디자 람사 라자 돼 용거와
No, so.
现在这라저 갖고 소소做什么东西那兄弟大个东西汤水下什么就没进去了那个啥是这个弄到这没些这电头嘛现在个马上就会什么的
No,
马
so.
上就会是这样그래 수도 따고 나히 미电头嘛是하지
No, so. So Geshe says, your question really is striking the core of the matter here. So we're talking about what is emptiness, right? That requires a lot of explanation. We will anyway go through the steps. But it is something that we all have to grapple with, right? If we want to be liberated and enlightened, there is no escape to that. The why is so difficult and so profound is it's like we are trying to walk a very fine line, metaphorically speaking, so that we don't tip to either of these two sides. There are two extremes, right? The extreme of eternalism, extreme of nihilism. There's a very fine line in between these two. If we think a little bit, we slip, isn't it? We miss the point. So that's why, right, unlike, say, compassion and bodhicitta, these are very easy to understand, but very difficult to generate, right? Compassion and bodhicitta are easy to understand, not a really bone-jarring concepts here. But to generate it is really tough, as we know. But emptiness is a very difficult concept. We have to learn to walk with a fine line. And of course, as much as somebody will try to explain it, that may not do the job. So we have to do our own personal work. We read the authentic explanation presented to emptiness. Then you just go back and you analyze and you meditate and see whether everything you're thinking is along the line of those explanations. And then you will realize, isn't it? Once you realize it, you cannot explain it just the way you realize to anybody else. That's why it's called masam jeme, right? That even if you want to talk about it, you cannot express it, your own real experience, isn't it? That's how this subject matter is, emptiness, So anyway, we will talk about this as the teaching progresses, okay? Yeah, so whatever you just said, both are, neither. What do you think? It's not like emptiness, not nothingness. And emptiness is not like becoming like a part of everything else exists there. It's not that, So we will discuss this, okay? Yeah.
So the hearer's tenets do not assert emptiness of intrinsic existence. Hearers, the hearer's tenets, they do not assert. Then how is it that they achieve personal liberation? If they meditate only on the selflessness of the emptiness of self-sufficient, substantial existence self, at which point somehow they switch.
Okay.
Same with the particular.
You mean from their point of view, how will they achieve
they meditate on selflessness, yet they achieve liberation. But according to Prasangikas, you need to realize emptiness in order to achieve liberation.
Right.
So at some point they switch. I don't know what happens.
Right. Okay. Rangjuba menje dege taba la dame togor shemado tongi dog shemarwage. Tenju megi any rangi taba ine da tamje shemado tongi dog slabarwage. Da mige rangjuba menje sheshegi dame di kansa rangje tebe jei tome dame dagarwa. Koran sungye chen di chen taba togo yorwage. Ine da ganzo tenju be tebina di samge taba top togo tongi dog slabarwa. Jedi gal tenju belo chen konzo kansa rangje tebe jei toba di ne chen kale chen tongi toal yang chu kape gogo 가르치고 그래서 다.
예, 다 갈래 야 저네 돈이 또 하지 자. 배나 리버 봉중시 들어 삼동에 내 갈래 돈이 또 해야 돼 용거로.
랑제 때문에 제일 또 받기 돈이 삼을다 돼서 양 팽기메로게.
라.
랑제 때문에 제일 또 똥받기.
가제 시에는 되게 다 팽거지. 팽아 팽거.
야.
식바 무슨 찍대로 야 땡터터 거로.
So from their school point of view, right, that selflessness is good enough to achieve nirvana. But Prasangikas say, you are not incorrect, your realization is authentic, but it's not good enough, right? So from Prasangikas point of view, they have to slowly switch their mind into realizing emptiness. But now the good news for them is that because let's say they have realized the selflessness of self-sufficient, self-existent person, so that realization can help them to be able to understand, right, emptiness, because it's the rung, letters in a rung, right? So that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
this is just Juta Karsa, the Oma Tel Pasha, Juta Homa thing. Tower Babding is a consequento, you are the consequence. Shrama Tower Shena, Tia Rangiva, the sense of Tower here, Pento or that they share to tell you Tower Pento or with Hosa beyond James on here, better Maris.
Geshe once mentioned that when we go through the different schools of Buddhist thoughts about selflessness, emptiness, right? So the understanding, realization of the lower schools of thought, it really augments. It's like the steps going up to understand. For example, if one realizes the selflessness of Vaibhashikas, that will really help to realize the selflessness that Chitta Martin talked about, mindfulness school. And then you realize the Chitta Martin one, then that will help you to realize the selflessness of Savatandika Madhyamika school. And that will help to realize the emptiness of the Prasangika. So they are not unrelated, right? They're completely gone wrong direction. These are, right, facilitated, yes.
As they realize, the hearers realize selflessness of self-sufficient, spiritually existent person, somehow on their own, without any further teaching, or how do they switch to the realization of emptiness, intrinsic existence, or do they receive teaching from their arhats?
Okay, sure.
And if so, why don't the arhats have included that in the tenets already?
Sure. Quran this is what Geshe went there we na tanda Karsa work ben nyende deba de rangje tebe jeyu ki tome tame to in there wage ta toni to me za thaba thuk la wage ta toni to ya kale tabse ju ko go wage de je de ani toni to so samlo tan shen go re ya ke gen che ko lab ko go wa Quran jong ngel ta jam top de jo de ro de je ma shen go Quran ngel ta jam top de na de kon top sa de di to mo do kar res ko ge wa
Here, you can't think, don't you? Roger, Google, we couldn't have shit of Marva.
The tangible looks and concept touch about the charge of Ray or Marva.
Nobody should have judged him as he could. That's my issue. Dharma, there's a judgment of Namja share or what he does about the judgment of Marisu.
No, sir. So Geshe says, yes, they have to listen to like teachers, right, who have understood emptiness, right? And their own arahats is not going to be helpful here, because from Prasangika point of view, their arahats, right, which they assume, right, is not an arahat. They call that arahats of the Ngunba is the arahats of the treasure of knowledge kind of a presentation. In other words, the arahats that Vaibhashikas talk about from Prasangika point of view are not regarded as real arahats yet. So their own arahats are not going to be helpful to teach them the emptiness, but they have to find a teacher who knows the emptiness, right? Because they cannot just do it on their own. Is that coming clear?
There are real arhats. They have to be real arhats, right?
They claim arhats, but I said from
but it doesn't. No, but
I'm
talking about from Prasangika point of view.
Right.
There are real arhats.
They are. You mean the Shravaka real arhats?
Yes, they are Shravaka arhats. Why don't they teach them?
Chidana Chevin and Yender touch on by Yomar and Conja Malab Chogorvas or again. Chidan and Yender touch on by Yorwa.
You don't judge them with the Shirama, the daughter of the judge of the Kakarata.
No, sir.
You don't judge them, I tell you, killing her.
Conja Malab Chogorva. There are arhats, you're right. They can teach them, but the difference Geshe is trying to make is that arahats that the Vaibhashikas and Sautantikas talk about in their presentation, right? Those are not regarded as arhats yet from Prasangika point of view. Prasangika say they are arhats, right? Sharvaka arhats, so they can teach them the emptiness, yes.
And then finally, then why don't they include it in their tenets if this is what their own arhats are teaching? After all, even though they're well, from their point of view, the arhats are not real arhats, but they're real arhats from Prasangika point of view. Why don't these arhats include it in their tenets if they have realized the emptiness? They started as Shravakas. They're teaching the Shravakas. Why don't they?
Quran says, Geshe, and then because Nyender touch on by Yoba in Arawage, that the Gay Ma Tony Ten Chogo Yobana, and didn't touch on by the Gay, didn't conjure the Gay Shuta Tanjarawage, Ranga to Jay, Chugo Masha, Tonga, the Madame Karishanasa, the Copendo Yorasa again. 맞다. 년대 다 찾아봐 여러 와게. 여러 슬랍으로 와. 년대 찾아봐 되게 콘서 동이 랍 초고 여러 와게. 랍 초고 여면은 되는 람디 딱다래. 디 코란서 두데나 마셔베 데 가르쳐래서 그러디.
다들 니도 다져서 해야 돼. 그래서 다져서 뭐니 되게.
어디서 되게.
다 두다 오메시아 니도 다져서 해야 돼. 다져만 말다.
라로 봐. 맞다. 찾아봐 뭐네 되게 콘서 두다디 봐서 저 딱 맞아 가르치고 그래서.
진짜 상식이 덜더고 말이야. 그럼 벌써 소수 박자상에다 깜짝깜짝 변도지야지 상식에서 쉬어야 될이야. 수가 라드 사바 소수 깜짝깜짝 거 빼내 그 변도시 뒤야 야제다 뭐 강가 대지를 닝부서 강가 대지 땡토 말아.
알아롱소. 알레디 둘다 되게 상제나서. Yes. Now this will I think. So Geshe says, it's not that there are arahats, right? They cannot go and edit and change and write the school of thought there, because Buddha himself taught these things as a way to slowly guide, right? So you're not going to change that, right? Yeah. Okay. Any more? Yeah. One more, and then I have prayers. Like even in schools, right, teachers may know more than the students, but the teacher not going to download everything they know to the students, because that's a bad teaching, right? You teach according to their level, and then you move up, right? Yeah.
Just one brief clarification online.
Yeah.
We touched it right at the end there.
Sure.
This person is asking, are we saying that none of the Buddha's students attain liberation?
What?
This last part of the conversation, this person is asking, does that mean that none of the Buddha's students attained liberation?
I don't know.
Yes.
Oh, I see.
Yes.
Yeah. Right. Dinde imba ina ta tanda 다자 좀 상견 코르가데 상부 중보로 와게 코르가데 되게 자주 가르 토베네 디 슈올이야 아니 다 낭베기 아니 기루 상 자주 받아 상계게 맵을 가르쳐래서 그러게
상계도 자주 서거여도 다 상계게다 다 포지티브 루션 깨와 참고 서서 상계게도 피지
자주 받아 열sla고 그러고
자주 상계도
No, I mean, the Buddhists would say, no, it's not, the arahats are only limited to those first five disciples. There are many who attain arahats, right? And then to achieve enlightenment, there are many Buddhas, but that's much harder because that requires, from pranjana paramita, wisdom begun point of view, it takes 3 great countless eons, right? So that's a long time to become a Buddha. So Buddhists accept that they are, right, achieved. Okay. So we will continue our discussion. I think I have some prayer requests. Anyway, we all know that there have been huge earthquake tragedies in Tibet, and we have incredible tragedies here at home. So a lot of people lost life. I mean, less here, but still every life is precious, and many hundreds in Tibet. So we'll pray for them, Buddha compassion mantra, and then many are injured, they need healing. And I have also received the name Susan, has a kidney stone treatment issue, so please pray for her as well. Okay. 투매 점제 쉬어야 되다 단다 표현한게 주매견 단데 매견 되게 되더라고게. 아니 선대 되게 될이야 가지고 갈수 없다 많이 되야 단 되네 다 내바차 되게 되들이야. and mainly suma doing cherwage. Maju kidu Susan the came to Cherwage. Kelto came to the church of the Lamlong Yogi, Tumen Aronasa. Chadong Golun, Juven, and on Gewa Sangbe, Sangye, Dong, Kangla, Kande, Dela, Jumba Jere, Sela, Chanze, Lo, Omani, Peme, Home, Omani, Peme, Home, Omani. Omani Meme Wadi Yodo Da Jere Sewan Rubjune Rowa Chijam Te Salam Geba Sho Tuji Kunla Nyombe Jomden De Senzan Tebe Nyendu Dung Dozo Neze Sanje Menje Bindu Yaye Vela Chaze Lo Teyeta Bekaze Bekaze Ma Bekaze Bekaze Ranza Samunga De Soha Teyeta Bekaze Tenda Bekaze Ma Bekaze Ranza Samunga De Zo Gawandi Nyodo Da Membe Gabo Lo Chijam Malewa De Sa Gambara Show. We have the booklet, page 3. Lord Janzu Yudong Bewa De Kesam Pove Judo Memba Shin Tenba Zinla Wando Yich Tanya Chogun So Wan De page 5. Ma Wan Dame Gundian Dongwa De Gangri Jongso Ninda Senza Jamgun Jawa Niwa Yapse Yin Dangson Tinzi Mabe Shiba Tenzin Jebe Jingon Jebe Jin Shije Nigun Changju Tendu Longdo Lamdu Bebe Beyun Jin Nuja Gyazu Gundo Shabdi Teju Undan Chezu Zomba Ye Yongzo Yure Tubu Nyage Shin Longri Tejin Nubu Ben Tuden Kangri Dabo Shabden Sho Dona Kongmen Zeba Namda Tiandan Rowe Pende Jongwe She Hundo Gyumin Shebe Kesan Duje Dundo Shabden Sho Chizu Lame Tuje Melamda Kesan Duje Tendan Zame Choshon Todo Jido Dombo Jida Membe Dungu Lundo Sho page 9. Ranjang Shinge Gombo Zeba Men Zodo Namje Kiyun Zuma Sho Chuzo Zeye Lazo Tamje Dade Mishi Choki Ngozo Zo Tubden Jidang Losan Jawa Shiro Tenban Zimbe Beyun Je Tadun Duje Kyongge Shin Yangde Ninje Gombo Sowa De Jiden Sumgue Chana Bemen Tenbe Zawa Soso Tawa Namda Sudin Yangda Langba Ye Losan Genden Bedo Shabden Tejo Gyaltsen Nonze Yangbe She Samjo Namje Sangzin Junbe Gomjon Shila Sonjo Debe Tenbe Ngada Chenbo Shabden Sho Chebe Dongwa Kowa Bojo Zunbe Rilan Siyu Bumda Je Zunbe Dunden Leshe Kedo Shenye Chenbo Shabden Sho Kebe Langdo Kushe Zeta Je Zunbe Sangben Dije Rigo Yishe No Sumden Shenye Chenbo Shabden Sho Desan Lulan Jawe Dende Menjo Tamin Zame Sijinba Labjin Zidun Dendu Besha Chende Shenye Chenbo Shabden Sho Chozon Gyawa Seje Chenla Toden Damjin Sume Chenle Je Daja Lasan Dabe Shida Membe Dungu Lundo Sho Changjo Semjo Rinpo Je Maje Bana Yeju Gewa Nyamba Meba Gone Gondo Pewa Sho Dongni Dawa Rinpo Je Maje Bana Yeju Gewa Nyamba Meba Yang Gone Pewa Sho Sa Shi Beje Joshi Mendo Zhang Rira Lingqi Ninde Yenba Sanje Shindo Mede Wewa Dogun Nanda Shinla Jeba Sho Kari Rabe Korwe Shingan Zo Pendan Dewa Malu Jove Jere Sewa Tenzin Gyatso Shabe Sede Bado Denjo Je Yedang Guru Ranam Kan yang da ya mi ye wa kun do yang da la ma dan de me che je ba la long je sa da lan je yuan de ra do je chang ge go ba nyu do jo